Can anyone in here name a person, a celebrity, or a fictional character even who is a member of the plus community? Well, you may all know one, but not know they're a member. Who here knows Deadpool? Deadpool is a confirmed pansexual, which is a person who doesn't discriminate because of gender and just loves anyone despite their body parts. Another celebrity is Billy Joe Armstrong is a bisexual, Tim Gunn is an asexual, and Ruby Rose is gender fluid. Despite strong beliefs otherwise, the plus community is not so very different from anyone in this room. And therefore, they're not as hard to accept as some might seem. Popular opinions of the plus community are that they are overly promiscuous, excessively flamboyant, and overprotective of their orientations and identifications. I'd like to begin with the common misconception that the plus community is extremely lecherous. In a recent study by OkCupid, they found that 98% of the plus community and the LGBT as well had less than 20 partners in their entire relationship background, and heterosexuals had a 99%. That's only 1% difference, so we're about the same on the promiscuity scale of things. In another survey, heterosexual men had more sexual encounters than homosexual men, and heterosexuals had more previous partners. Now that's just the male side of it, but I couldn't find a survey for females or other orientations. Another belief is that the plus community is excessively flamboyant. Excessively, no. More flamboyant, I'll agree with you on that. Considering that the plus community has been discriminated against all their life, they're not afraid to be who they are, because they're already shunned for, well, being who they are. And the more popular outfits that they wear, that everyone sees and thinks is what they dress as every day, is actually what they wear for the celebrations of who they are, like the gay pride parade, or separate parties for the plus communities. And I assure you, their everyday attire is much normal. Moving on, another common belief is that the plus community can be angry or even defensive when they are confronted about their sexualities or orientations, or asked what they are, or told that they've never been heard of before. This is a more tricky subject, as it is kind of true. Throughout their lives, the plus community is constantly confronted with the world asking, well, I don't understand, what are you? Who do you like? Do you have a preference? Or you're not real, you're just saying that to get attention. And many different people naturally go about confronting this in a different way. Some just accept it and say, okay, that's what you believe and I respect that. Go ahead and live your life the way you want to. While others get really angry and defensive about it because throughout their whole lives they've constantly been attacked by the heterosexuals and the other homosexuals who are also against them and don't believe that they're real. And so they defend themselves excessively because they're just tired of being constantly oppressed by everyone else and the people who are supposed to accept them as who they are. And wouldn't you want to speak out if you were being constantly bullied and no one stood up for you? In conclusion, my solution for this is that maybe we should get to know these people a little better before we start judging them and excluding them from our own lives. And maybe we should talk to them and know them as a person instead of just grouping them together with general sexualities or orientations. I'm hoping that at the end of this speech you all walk away knowing a little bit more about this community and who they really are. And maybe just a little more understanding of their circumstances. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I was writing the question. How do we get to know members of this community if it is, say, a faux pas to ask them, like, what their sexuality is? How do we bridge that gap for someone who is a heterosexual male? How do I bridge the gap to talk to someone in this plus community if I'm not allowed to ask them about their sexuality? Or if they're offended by me asking about their sexuality?
Well, a lot aren't really offended, they're just defensive, and they won't be offended unless someone like says an offensive comment, usually. But I know there are chats online where people can go and just talk about this stuff, and people are willing to help you understand and help you like be familiarized with what they are and who they are and what they love. Yes?
You said one of the celebrities was, I believe, is gender fluid. What is that?
Gender fluid is you feel like you're all the genders. Like, you don't feel like you're female, but you do, and you don't feel like you're male, but you still do. It could vary depending on the day. Like, one morning you could wake up and be like, I feel a little more feminine today, or I feel a little more masculine. It's like, it's also very confusing to be gender fluid because you don't know yourself, and it's a very conflicting thing. It's kind of like being born intersex, where you have both male and female parts and both male and female hormones, and it's a very confusing subject. Yes.
How do you suppose we open up the more conservative types to like this community? How do you think we should like ease them into it to be more accepting?
That's a good question. I know most conservatives are against it because the Bible says it, and I know it's kind of hard to adjust to a new kind of thing that you've never really heard of and you never really understand or fully get, and it's something so different. But I think it'd just be to calmly approach them about it and be like, hey, we're just like you, we just have this one big thing different. And just kind of try and like find comparisons in your lives of how you are the same, and kind of like be their friend in ways.
All right, John.